Yes, hello, welcome.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself, where you're from, and what is your profession, what do you do?
I'm Juli and LaBadia. I am from the United States in the state of Delaware, and I work in the Court of Chancery there, so I am an official called reporter in the United States. I work for the state, for the courts.
My name is Jennifer Schuck. I'm based in Scottsdale, Arizona in the United States, and I am a captioner. I have been a court reporter for the first 11 years of my career, and then I have been captioning for 15.
Yes, and what kind of situations do you work in, and what maybe are the challenges when you work in those situations?
So for us, I work in a court of business litigation. It's based on the Court of Chancery in the UK. It's a lot of foreign business speakers, so for us it's a lot of very technical terms and a lot of foreign languages, speaking English, a lot of accents.
And my job is primarily providing real-time captioning for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. I do that in an educational setting, so in classrooms, as well as large conferences and corporate settings, business meetings, really any environment except for television. That's just a personal choice of mine, so I don't provide captioning for television broadcasts, but any other settings.
Okay, thank you. The system of payment in your case, are you on a payroll or are you self-employed?
So I am on a payroll with the state of Delaware, and when we sell transcripts to the parties, we're allowed to take money for that. So kind of self-employed in that regard, and on the payroll as well for the state.
And I own my own captioning firm, so I am 100% self-employed and am responsible for collecting payment, making sure that all jobs get invoiced, as well as paying the other captioners who work for me. And I'm responsible for paying myself and paying taxes in the US, and yes, all of that relies on me. So I make as much money as I can in comparison to how much I work.
All right, thank you. About the motivation, the kind of work that you do, can you explain a little bit about what's so fun about it? What do you like? If you would recommend it to somebody else to go into this profession?
So I have worked as a captioner and as a freelancer, which is going out to different firms, taking depositions, and also as a state. I would say the best thing about my job now is the regular hours, and also court reporters, when you go to law firms in the United States, are not always given the respect by lawyers that you are given if you work for the judge that the lawyers appear before. So that is a nice bonus.
I love working with individuals who are appreciative of the service, and as well as I find working with individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing that they want to do more, and they're not given the access and the abilities to be able to do as much as they really have the capability to do. And in this job, in the settings that I work, whether it's educational or a business setting, I also get the benefit of being able to hear some very fabulous speakers or captioning heads of state and being in the environment of some really high profile settings. But it's really that one-on-one interaction with the individuals that gives me the gratitude to do what I do. That being said, the first 11 years of my career when I was doing traditional judicial court reporting, I also loved that in that period of time in my life. I loved working with attorneys. I loved sitting around tables with 15 attorneys and doing real-time litigation. And then I just transitioned over my career into working less with attorneys due to the respect that Juli mentioned, and started working more with individuals one-on-one and corporations to make their business setting more accessible to all of their employees, because it's not just for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. It's for people whose first language is not necessarily English, or have auditory processing disorders, or just visual learners. I myself am a visual learner. It helps me to see captions versus just listening to text or listening to speech and trying to understand and taking notes at the same time. But it's the one-on-one interaction of working with individuals individuals that really motivates me every day. It makes me love what I do.
And as for the training, you had the education to do this profession. Are you still updating your education and get additional training for it, or?
Well, yes, continuing education I think is really important. Something coming to Intersteno where you see how things are happening in the rest of the world is amazing. This is the first time I've been, just to see what's going on out there, but also trying to continually improve. We provide in our court real time to the judges and the law clerks and the parties every day, every hearing. So trying to continually improve not only to make your job easier, but it makes it better for them. And learning is amazing.
Yeah, I think by a process of doing this job, if you're the individual that has the motivation to want to improve on a daily basis what you do, because the better you are, the easier your job is, the faster you write, the less editing time you have. And so, like Julie said, going out into these other conferences and getting continuing education and learning more things, and really just working with individuals who do what you do. You learn from each other. That increases your skill. I've also started venturing out to learn more business, taking more business seminars, because as a freelancer and owning my own company, that's also very important, and not necessarily things that we learn when we go to steno-related conventions. And so every day is a learning process. Every day you need to learn something more, and it could be related to our skill, or it could be related to business or finance or just IT skills and all the technology out there now that we use to transmit captions from point A to point B. There's a wide variety of skills that you need and everything that you need to learn, and so we need to constantly improve all of that. Technology changes on a daily basis, and so we need to be able to keep up in order to provide the best service, whether it's to a judge or to an individual who's relying on our captioning.
Yeah, and in the United States, everybody is very working mostly on their own, I assume. Is there are you associated in some way with colleagues, and if so, how do you exchange good practices or ways of work?
So, on a macro level, there's the National Association of Court Reporters that has guidelines that they have. Each state in the United States has different guidelines, different organizations. Some are stricter than others. If you work for the federal government, which is the appeals courts, that are nationwide appeals courts, they have very strict guidelines for how you produce a transcript and which records you keep. Coming down by state levels, where I live now, there's not even a state certification to prove I'm qualified to work there. So we have national certifications in order to say, hey, I can actually write on the machine occasionally, and in some states, so it varies by state. As far as colleagues, I work with a group of 6 women, and we are constantly, just because the stuff we do is so technical, we're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other and getting input and giving input just to make it work cohesively.
And I think in this day and age with online platforms, there are a lot of forums and Facebook pages and other networking sites where we are able to bounce ideas off of each other or ask technical questions about how do we do this, or have you encountered this technical issue and do you know how to solve it? And so we interact in that way. A lot of captioners, because they are independent and working from home, if they don't go to a convention or a conference, it's a lot of online communication back and forth. And like Julie mentioned, there is NCRA that's at a national level. There's also the National Verbatim Reporters Association, which are the voice writers in the U.S., which you call re-speaking here over in Europe. And so I know they have guidelines, they have certifications, so that would be their way of collaborating. And I have friends that are all across the country that I have not necessarily met, or friends that I met 10 years ago that we're still in constant contact with, and so every once in a while it's a phone call, but it's a lot of emails back and forth to be able to bounce off best practices and ideas.
And then specifically, probably it's not so applicable for you, but specifically for the working for deaf and hard of hearing, is there a code of conduct, for example, that you use?
There is actually. NCRA has created a code of ethics for captioners, and that was created, I should know it because I was co-chair of that committee, and I should know exactly when it was created. It was a few years ago now, but yes, there is a code of conduct specifically for captioners in the US.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. How do you manage stress in your work settings? How you go around the stress?
Exercise.
Sorry,
Go ahead. Laughing. Whining.
It's a really great question, and the reason I chuckle is because it is a weakness of mine of how to balance work and life and stress of being able to do everything. What I know to be true is that one person can't do everything, that you do need to delegate. And I don't have an office manager at this time. I do everything. I do invoicing, I do scheduling, and I still write. But I'm also a very small company, and I'm intentionally a small company for that reason. Because I want to make sure that I don't want to lose that one-on-one interaction with my clients. So stress, I like to travel. So when I'm here, I am off email, and I check it once or twice a day, but I'm not at my computer all day, every day, which is if I were at home, that's exactly what I would be doing. Yeah. And just getting out, going to the movies, sitting in a dark place and absorbing myself into somebody else's world for a couple of hours is the way I look at it. Go offline, travel, get out, meet other people.
Nature. Yeah. Get away.
Just get away
being
from it.
unplugged, sitting at the beach.
Yeah.
Saying, really? Why am I stressed?
Getting away from the computer is key.
Yes.
May I ask one question? You mentioned before you have a small company, so I would like to know, how do you select people to work with you? Which criteria or which skills or which attitudes do you start to look for?
So a requirement for me is that you at least need to hold some sort of certification through the National Court Reporters Association. So I do require certification. If you have some level of certification, then I will let you write for me. And so I have videos, and I need to see you write live. So I have you connect to a platform where you can send your text. I watch the video, I watch you write live. And then it's subjective on my part, since it's my company, my reputation. If I feel like your captions are verbatim enough, not too many words missing, your accuracy level, your speed, and as well as punctuation and making sure that the formatting of how captions should look is correct. So I take that all into consideration. And if I feel that the captions that I'm looking at are at a level of accuracy that is what I find to be acceptable for me and my reputation, thus my company, then I will add you to my list of writers. And at that point then, when jobs become available, I send an email to the entire list. So I know at my list that everybody has been approved by me to be able to accept a job.
And did you take into consideration any personal skills or?
Yes, so actually that's something that I've added over time to the writing ability, because it's not really just about the writing. As we tend to say sometimes writing is the easy part. It's the connecting, it's the communication skills. If I send an email, do you respond back in a timely manner? Do you send invoices on time? Do you send your files in on time? And if some of those skills are lacking, but you have really great writing skills and are a great captioner, then you might be removed from my list. Or depending on the client, if it's a higher profile client, it's probably not a job that you would get assigned to.
And I don't know, I'm not sure if you know the process at the place where you work at, how they recruit new professionals.
We also require minimum certifications,
Okay.
well, actually pretty advanced certifications from NCRA. For us, accuracy is also key because we do real time every day, and speed is key because it's so fast. But their interpersonal relationships are tricky things in the business environment. But yeah, sometimes that is a real deciding factor, I think, in whether somebody will fit with your group, especially because our group is in a confined space every day, you know, and so you have to learn how to let things roll off your back and go on.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you
very much
so
for your time.
much.
Thank you.